Donald Trump spoke outside the White House today, surrounded by a phalanx of race car drivers. The questions turned to tariffs, and Trump put the pedal to the metal.
No other president would have done what I did. No other president. I know the presidents. They wouldn't have done it.
He knows them. He knows all of them. Chet Arthur, Millie Philly, all four Johns, both Johnsons, both Harrisons, both Franklins, Delano Roosevelt, and Pierce. Don't forget Pierce. And none would have done this. And you know what? I think he's right. So what we hear is that the president has started with the truth. And I will tell you, he will end with the truth, too. But before that, he got into the world trade picture.
Last year, China made $1 trillion off trade with the United States. That's not right.
We also bought $1 trillion worth of goods from China, which would have cost us something like $2 trillion had they not been made in China.
We have $36 trillion of debt for a reason. We don't have it there for fun. They have it for a reason.
I don't know. It's a little bit of fun thinking about, say, $1 trillion stacked end to end, going to the sun 40 times. I mean, it'd probably get singed when it got to the sun, but still, 37 or $36 trillion weighs 6 times the weight of the Hoover Dam. Also, true, we don't have it for no reason, but one reason that we have $36 trillion in debt, about a quarter to a fifth of the reason is that during Trump's first time in office, he added $8 trillion to the national debt. The president then segued into an area very comfortable for him. Where do immigrants come from?
There were people from mental institutions, insane asylums.
Looney bins, funny farms, Daffy Day spas.
They were taking their mentally insane and they were dumping them into our country.
Just as the Chinese were dumping steel. So what we're going to do is we're going to tariff them for dumping the mentally ill. For every one insane Guatemalan they dump, we're going to charge them 1.25 insane Hondurans. That is Liberation Day.
They want these people coming back, Tren de Aragua from Venezuela, the Venezuela jails, that cut off the fingers of a man in Colorado. They cut off his fingers because he called the police looking for help. They said, "Did you call the police?" He said, "Yes, I did." Put your hand down, and they cut off the fingers. This is what they want to bring these people back now.
What this gang did, when you think about it, was impose a 10% finger tariff. They cut off one pinky. Then the rival gang retaliates. They raise it to 125% finger tariff, which is 10 fingers and 2.5 toes. I say, can't you take the toes first? But the answer is no, you can't. Also, little note to you, if you're ever in that position, when asked by a Venezuelan gang, did you call the police? Say no. Say no. Try it. The president then returned to more explicitly economic issues.
Apple is going to spend $500 billion building a plant. They wouldn't be doing that if I didn't do this. They'd just keep building them in China.
Here's what Apple actually announced.
Apple is planning to temporarily source more iPhones from India to send to the United States in a bid to offset the impact of President Trump's tariffs on China.
Trump was then asked if he'd consulted with any heads of industry or top bankers.
Jamie Dimon on Maria Bartiromo's show this morning, and he was very good. He said that actually made the statement to effect that something had to be done with the tariffs and trade. He said that. He said, look, at some point, but he said something has to be done with tariffs and trade. He understood it. He's very smart and very a genius financially. He's done a fantastic job at the bank.
Here is what Dimon actually said. Note his description of the Trump administration's understanding of its own plan.
So what do you think about the tariff plan?
I think it is perfectly reasonable for someone to say that trade was unfair. There were unfair trade things. And remember, it's not just tariffs. It's tariffs. I think they have the VAT wrong, how they understand it, and I think they should really get a better understanding to make it easy to negotiate. But there are all these non-tariff barriers around food and energy, and then subsidies, which China's famous for. So it's totally reasonable to say we want to make trade better. But I also want to point out to the Americans, we have the best economy in the world. Our GDP per person is $85,000. China's is $15,000. So you got to put a little bit in the context. But, and then, of course, when they put the tariffs in, that was way beyond what people expected. That will cause a little inflation, slow down growth.
Yes, so quite the opposite of an endorsement. And finally, the president concluded by answering how he knew which companies deserve a break.
Instinctively, more than anything else. I mean, you almost can't take a pencil to paper.
And that, too, not being able to take pencil to paper, that ranks as fact-check true. And in the final few moments, he turned to the race car drivers next to him and analogized their job to his, saying, I could say, here's a wall, I'm going to go through it. Sometimes you have to be able to go under the wall, around the wall, or over the wall. These guys know better than anyone. And they all nodded because it's easier than saying, we're IndyCar drivers, not the cast of The Road Warrior. What the hell are you talking about? And with that, the president strode off, having overseen a hugely successful policy that only led to 4 straight days of trillions of dollars worth of losses. He then, in the tradition of any IndyCar driver who crashes headfirst into a wall on the first turn, took his victory lap.